Let's bring in our panel. Former National Security Council Chief of Staff Fred Fleitz, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State Joel Rubin, and former Senior Advisor to the Department of Homeland Security under Mayorkas and retired Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Berney Flowers. Pleasure to have all three of you on. Fred, I want to start with you. I think you have to commend President Trump and his administration for continuing these talks, trying to facilitate peace with Ukraine and Russia here. It seems like we're getting closer and closer to a deal. What are your thoughts?
I think we're getting closer. I still think we're far way off. Saying Ukraine supports the deal, and then in the same Shelby Waters report, to hear they support the majority of the deal, and there's important things that have to be worked out, such as territorial concessions. I don't think Ukraine supports this deal right now. Getting to a yes will be hard. The problem is Putin is not interested in ending the war right now. I think he's made that clear. I think we have to put significant economic pressure on Putin with energy sanctions before we're going to get him to deal. So I hope this goes somewhere. It may move us closer to an agreement, but I don't think an agreement is near.
Joel, as Fred pointed out, there need to be more energy sanctions, and this is something that President Trump had threatened to Putin months and months ago. We've seen them come out in sort of dribs and drabs, but clearly nothing that has been effective enough. What do you think needs to happen from a sanctions standpoint to push this forward?
Yeah, Katrina, there are tools still available to the president. As you point out, there's a bill sitting in the Senate that has overwhelming support, bipartisan support, to ramp up those sanctions. And I think there's no better time than the present, especially when, as we see, the administration is willing to do this in the case of Venezuela, to put extreme pressure on Venezuela and then engage diplomatically. Let's do it. Let's try it. Because if Putin's signal is that he's going to kill Ukrainian civilians while negotiating with us and potentially with Ukraine, we need to send a signal back that that's unacceptable. So more pressure, these sanctions in the Senate in particular, and I do support the diplomacy underway, but it needs more teeth behind it.
Lieutenant, I want to get your take on sanctions and how do you think Putin might view even tougher ones against him levied by the United States? Would that be, more U.S. involvement, a further act of potential conflict against him?
Bob and Katrina, thanks for having me. Wow, Putin, he's in a tough spot. He's carrying out war against his enemies, but he's trying to negotiate. And he's beaten our sanctions before. If you notice that their economy really hasn't suffered that much through the sanctions that Biden put upon them. So he's probably going to just stall out and see what we do. The Europeans, from my understanding, they want to keep this thing going. I just believe that the president's doing the right thing and putting the pressure on the Ukraine, because this is really between two major powers. We need to make this stop because we can't afford this unlimited supply of money going into the Ukraine for no good reason.
Want to switch to this here. Let's talk a little bit about Maduro and Venezuela. Fred, video from the National University Student Day celebration there shows Maduro. You can watch us swaying to the beat, seemingly mimicking President Trump's trademark dance with moves.
With a little Latin flair.
Yeah,
I
was going to say, and then he went into his own thing. This kind of blatant, I'm going to say, disrespect. I mean, listen, I'm all for joking around. I don't believe in being too serious. But at the same time, is that a good move from Maduro if we're talking about, I don't know, potentially talking to President Trump, who considers you a terrorist?
Well, I think Maduro is a criminal. I don't really care if he's dancing. And he heads a country that is producing and transporting dangerous drugs and terrorists into the United States, which is why President Trump is taking such a tough stand against him. But I like the talk of regime change to end. We're not going to overthrow this government. Maduro is strongly in power with military officers who are corrupt and beholden to him. There's Cuban troops, the Cuban intelligence officers. I want to crack down on Venezuela, reassert American leadership in the Institute, but I want the talk of regime change to stop.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there. Fred, Joel, and Lieutenant Colonel Flowers, thank you so much.
Good to be.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Ray.